What's up, everybody? It's Nick, and we're back for installment number 2 of music reviews. So last week we looked at Metallica and their newest single, Lux Eterna. I said Lux Eterna this time, not Lux Aether. That was a total mistake on my part there. Again, my bad about that, guys. But today we're going to be looking at a little lesser-known band, but still someone who's a titan in their own right. So today we're talking about the newest single, Equus, from Ne Obliviscaris. Ne Obliviscaris is an Australian progressive black metal band, and they've been only around for a couple years now, and they've only put out about 3 albums. So they're having a 4th album that's coming out within March of next year, and they just released a forerunning single just to let you guys know what the album sounds like. Again, we're going to have this set up with the 5 tiers that we have. 1 being an overall perspective, 2 being from a music production perspective, 3 instrumentation and vocals, 4 general review, and 5 rating. So let's get down to it. Starting off, Ne Obliviscaris has honestly had a lot of consistency in their songs and a lot of consistency in their albums, and that's a good thing. They found a sound, they like their sound, and they've decided to stick with that sound, and the fans obviously love it. And I feel like this single is not very far from the sound, but it also does add some nuances in there that are not really common in Ne Obliviscaris songs. With that being said, I think this song is actually generally pretty promising and a very, very good forerunner for the album. So let's get right into it. From a music production perspective, everything is mixed pretty darn good, especially with the way that they do things now. Each member of the band kind of has their own way that they record their instruments and all that. Most of the drums were actually solely handled by Dan Preslin, who unfortunately is no longer in the band. He's doing other projects like Black Lava and whatnot, which I highly recommend you go check out. But he did all the drum works, the mastering, the mixing, and the drum tracks, and the recording. He did everything himself there. So he obviously did an incredibly fantastic job on that. There was absolutely no problems that I had with the drum tracks. Everything sounded amazing. The cymbals were just in that right range. All the toms sounded nice and boomy. They were at the perfect loudness. Everything was good. The only thing that I think I would change is I would just put the kick up a little bit more, just so that way you could feel it, because he's got an insane kick drum technique. So I would just want to hear that a little bit more, since that's a little more of a star of the show. But again, that's just my preference. As far as the guitars and the bass and all that go, everything's mixed really well. The bass is a little bit louder in this mix, and the, tone of the bass is a little bit different than their other albums that are out there. But yet again, at the same time, there still is no problem with the way this sits in the mix. The bass kind of does float above everything else a little bit, because the bass usually does play lead parts in Ne Obliviscaris, and I feel like they did that pretty well in this song. It fits really well, even though there's a couple parts of it I would have probably have changed myself, just personally. I think that it fits very well with the song, and there's no issues with it, and everything works out pretty well, especially with the bass playing lead parts and all that. The guitars, excellent work. They blend very well with each other. Everything sounds really nice. The tone is very crisp and sharp. It's very easily distinguished in the mix, and then the solo tone just seems to fit perfectly well with it. It's within a perfect balance of loudness. So now looking at it from the instrumentation perspective, everything is written very well. Now, mind you, this is a 12-minute song, so this is a lot of stuff that's going on in this song. However, the way Ne Obliviscaris writes things and all that, they generally tend to write 12-minute plus songs. They don't feel like 12-minute plus songs. These songs usually tend to be over before you even know it, and then you're like, wait, that was 12 minutes? And they're really good about that. They can make you stay around for 12 minutes to listen to the whole song, and it sounds very great. I like how the changes go in the song. There's obviously, a good, very nice bassy tom intro that's very well written. I love the way that sounds. And then it comes up with a pretty disjointed kind of guitar riff that's not really common for Ne Obliviscaris when it comes to opening riffs and all that. I think that's pretty darn cool, and I think that it fits really well. Overall, there's a whole bunch of these other cool parts in the song. It opens up with clean vocals, which, I would love to hear Zen do all his dirty stuff and all that, and I love hearing all the dirty vocals and the growls and all that, and all the and all that stuff. At the same time, Tim Charles has an excellent voice, and I love listening to his voice whenever he starts opening up a song, because he usually opens up a song in a very beautiful and emotional way, and it generally tends to fit with the way the rest of the band does things. I really was quite happy having, his voice open up and all that with the song. But I think that honestly, the way this song was more set up, they just kind of wanted something that was gonna be one of those songs where it's mid-set, they play this song, and then Zen just kind of steps down for a little bit and goes to get some water, and then Tim Charles is up there doing the opening parts and all that, because it's not very long after Tim Charles's opening parts go that Zen actually steps up and starts doing the dirty vocals and all that, which, by the way, Zen sounds just as good as ever. The way that his voice sounds in this particular one, it brings an extra dark vibe to it for some reason. I don't know why, but it works really well. It sounds really good together. They obviously have the parts where they're doing double vocals, where one guy's singing an entirely different part clean, the other guy's singing an entirely different part with the harsh vocals, and that's something that's actually pretty common for Ne Obliviscaris. They do a really good job for that, because then you're trying to pay attention to what each person is saying, and because they're saying 2 different things, it's like, wow, I've got the angel on this shoulder and the demon on the other side. That's really cool. Other than that, as far as the actual writing and all that goes, they definitely bring a lot of different elements in here that they had not done previously. For example, they actually had a string quartet in this one, which I thought was pretty impressive and pretty cool. It sounds really nice. They also decided to kind of do some other things that were new in the song as well, with the way that their guitars and all that were structured. They actually had parts of it where the bass was leading the main rhythm instead of the guitars, and the guitars were kind of playing more of the bass function, which I think is really nice. I like when they can do that with a bass guitar. So overall, as far as the writing is concerned, it's really well done as usual. And I mean, what can we expect? They're a bunch of progressive metalheads. They like black metal too. They make progressive black metal. That's kind of a bridge you can draw right there. They do a really good job, and all their songs have been really expertly crafted. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if this album that's coming up is only going to have like 6 or 7 songs on it that they took 5 years to write. Because each time that they write a song or do a song or anything like that, they just take so much time to really just sit down and think about how the song is going to sound. They do a lot of work on one song to make sure it's perfect before they release it. Now, for a general overview, once again, I think the song is very well written, very well done. Everything's very well mixed and mastered. Besides for a couple minor tweaks that I would change personally, I think that this thing is done exceptionally well. And I think that honestly, there wasn't really much else that they could do to improve it. I haven't really heard a bad Ne Obliviscaris song, I'll just be honest with you guys. So with that being said, I think that this is generally a very promising forerunner to this album. So I'm really honestly excited to hear what's in this new album that makes it unique. With that all being said, time for a rating. We're going to give this song an 8.9 out of 10. Yes, that is a pretty darn high rating, and you're probably wondering, well, what would have made it go to a 9? Well, a couple things probably would have made it go to a 9. I feel like I wanted to hear more out of the guitars and all that, so that's pretty much the only thing. I didn't have a complaint about how the guitars were. All the riffs and all that were great. I kind of heard the same kind of tone that was, on all the other albums and all that. I kind of wanted to hear something that was a little bit more of a unique tone that they kind of decided to bring out here and try out. It's fine to play it safe and do a similar tone to all the other albums, but I would have liked to hear maybe a little something different. That's pretty much the only thing keeping it to a 9. Everything else was really great. The solo, 2 minutes long, by the way, was absolutely phenomenal and mind-blowing. It's crazy how this guy can think of solos like that. But other than that, 8.9 out of 10, it's a really good job. You should definitely re-listen to it. It's excellent. Everything is just beautifully written together. And with that being said, that concludes this music review for today. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, ring the little notification bell, comment down below what you think of the song, and give me your rating, because I do like to listen to people, and obviously keep the comments respectful. We always like to appreciate respect and all that. We do drum shorts twice a day, and then we release long form videos when we can, music reviews. Whenever there's new music around, we try and release it as soon as we can. All right, guys, we'll see you later.